Thought about Fern and Wilbur and Charlotte lately? Well, believe it or not, the characters of the children's classic Charlotte's Web are now turning 60 years old.
Ooh, ow, that hurts. Of course, they're really ageless to all those who loved them as kids or who loved reading the book to our own kids. Elaine Quijano is here with a fresh look at this wonderful story. Good morning, Elaine.
Good morning, Anthony and Rebecca. Well, when author E.B. White first introduced young readers to Charlotte, the gray barn spider, in his classic Charlotte's Web, the world of children's literature had never seen a story like it. It's a tale of friendship and deals with the painful realities of life and death. 60 years later, it's a story that still endures. The beloved children's book Charlotte's Web was first released on October 15, 1952. Since then, E.B. White's classic has sold millions of copies, been printed in 35 languages, and spawned 2 movies.
My name is Charlotte A. Kavatica.
The story centers on an unlikely friendship between a pig named Wilbur, destined for a farmer's dinner pot, and a spider, Charlotte. She weaves words into her web, aimed at convincing humans to spare Wilbur's life. Michael Sims, author of the book The Story of Charlotte's Web, says writer E.B. White based Wilbur on an actual pig, one that got sick on White's farm in Maine.
He did everything he could to save its life, worked with his son, stayed up all night, had the veterinarian over 2 or 3 times. Nothing worked. The pig dies, and he's much more sad than he ought to have been. And it stays in his mind. I love that. It becomes alive then as a character in his mind.
And so he wanted to write a different ending.
Yes, he wanted to. I think many writers admit that they want to write a different ending to real life, and that's what he did.
White was an ardent animal lover. Details mattered to him. He even consulted with New York's American Museum of Natural History.
If they can catch it, they'll probably eat it. They're not really picky eaters.
Where Charlotte has inspired generations of spider lovers and an exhibit. It was White's meticulous research here that gave Charlotte her name.
He discovered he had the wrong scientific name for the spider. He learned that her name was Elaine Quijano. So he shrinks the Elaine to a little A middle initial. He gives her Quijano as this jaunty, beautiful Italian surname, and she becomes the Charlotte A. Quijano, who breaks our hearts.
White chose to allow Charlotte to die, just as barn spiders do in real life after laying their eggs. Her death moved White deeply, which became very clear when he recorded an audio version of the story.
"Goodbye," she whispered. Then she summoned all her strength and waved one of her front legs at him. She never moved again.
And then he gets to the saddest moment of the book when Charlotte is dying, and he has to read those words.
No one was with her when she died.
No one was with her when she died. And 16 times his voice cracked, or he got tears in his eyes, and he had to stop. And E.B. White said, "This is ridiculous. The spider is imaginary." And on the 17th take, 20 years after it was published, he finally was able to read it without breaking down.
Why do you think that story is so timeless?
It's not really about death. It's really about, mostly it seems like, the joy of being alive and the thrill of having your first friend.
Now, the Library of Congress recently designated Charlotte's Web a book that shaped America. In making their selection, officials said the story was notable for the way it treats death as a natural and inevitable part of life. Rebecca and Anthony.
Certainly shaped my childhood.
It was read to me, I read it myself, and I've read it to my kids.
It's tough stuff, but it's important and beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. Thanks, Elaine.
Nice work.